Now it's my turn. Thank you so much. Good morning. Welcome to First Parish in Brookline, a Unitarian Universalist congregation where we strive to be welcoming to all. My name is Elisa Connor. My pronouns are she, her, and I'm your worship associate this morning. Our service this morning will be led by Reverend Joe Cherry. In this part of the world, in the Gregorian calendar we use, it is a time of beginnings. We begin our Sunday mornings together in this more intimate, easily heated space. Many of us begin the new year with resolutions to begin a new habit or new approach in our lives, although I never make New Year's resolutions because I never keep them. I invite us this morning to mark this beginning time, perhaps not with a vow to fix what we perceive to be wrong with our individual selves, but instead with the renewal of our deeper, larger commitments to each other, to the building of beloved community, and to our visions of the healing and justice we wish to enact in the world. Our worship theme this month is practicing resistance, and all month we'll get to contemplate and, dare I say, practice resisting the all too human tendencies toward fear, greed, and othering so painfully evident at this time in history and today. May we, in this beginning time, this new year, begin anew our commitment to resistance in community with each other. If you're new, or if this is your first time at First Parish, or if you're new-ish, I extend a special welcome to you. Please come say hello after the service over there, where we get caffeine, warm drinks. And once again, welcome to this community of love and resistance. What a blessing to be together. We do have a couple of announcements. Super quick announcement.
Hi, everyone. My first announcement. So exciting. I'm Kelly O'Brien, she, they. I am a member of the Racial Justice Action Committee, and I'm giving you an announcement that I just deleted. I am here to invite you next Sunday to come and see The Great Privation, How to Flip 10 Cents into $1, which is being put on by Company One, which was co-founded by Mark and Sasha Vanderzee, members of First Parish. On Sunday, January 11th, there is a special talkback after the performance with the playwright at 2 that we are all invited to. So come on out. It should be great. Oh, great question. That's a great question. It is at the Modern Theater at Suffolk University, and there are flyers here. There are some over there as well. So yeah, hope you all will come out. Should be great.
And I have one more announcement, which is the invitation to, renew our space by undecorating for the winter holiday, the Christmas and the Hanukkah and the Yule. Much labor was put forth to put up the beautiful decorations, and much labor will be required to put them carefully away. So after the service, connect to Eliza, perhaps? Yes, I'm getting a nod. And so now, my closing line, once again, welcome to this community of love and resistance. It's such a blessing to be together, and I invite Reverend Joe Cherry for our call to worship.
Come in from the week you've been carrying, from the roles you know well and the responsibilities that have learned your name. Come in from the doing, the fixing, the holding it all together. Here, you are not required to have all the answers. Here, you are not expected to lead alone. Here, you are invited into a faith that trusts growth, relationship, and time. We gather today as a people shaped by those who came before us, and as people still becoming, still learning what it means to belong, to listen, to make room. May this hour offer rest for weary hands, space for honest reflection, and the quiet courage to imagine what faithfulness might ask of us now. Come, let us build together by singing our first hymn, and there is a lyric update. Because I learned this morning to put a post-it note on the pulpit. There was a lyric in the past about sisters and brothers, which is come build. Keith, just might as well come up and tell it because you remember it now. I remember to talk about it, but you.
Come build a land where all of creation, every chorus, you'll see it in your chorus part.
Thank you.
I invite Landon Rose to come forward and light our chalice this morning. Please join in reading our community's covenant found in your order of service, first in Spanish and then in English. nos entregamos y nos comprometemos a caminar juntos como congregación, prometiendo con mucha fe cuidarnos mutuamente y deleitarnos en el amor que permanecerá entre nosotros. We give ourselves one unto another, covenanting to walk together as a congregation, promising faithfully to watch over one another and to delight for love to abide in our midst. And now I invite Kay to come forward.
Thank you. Hello. Happy New Year, everybody. Good morning. So today, I and some of our young people are going to tell you a story of Ella Baker, a woman who changed the world by believing that young people have power and wisdom. Do you want to come over to this side, be a little more in the center? Awesome. All right, Eliza, take it away.
Ella Baker was born in 1903 in Virginia. She grew up hearing stories from her grandmother about enslavement, and those stories taught her that ordinary people were incredibly strong and brave. When Ella grew up, she worked for civil rights, fighting to make sure black people could vote, go to good schools, and be treated fairly. She worked with NAACP, helped start the Southern Christian Leadership Conference with Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., and organized for over 50 years. But here's what Ella made different. She didn't want to be famous or the main leader. She wanted to empower others. Ella Baker had a famous quote that captured this. She said, "Strong people don't need strong leaders." Let's practice that together. When I say strong people, everyone says don't need strong leaders, okay? Strong people don't need strong leaders. Okay.
Seth?
In 1960, 4 black college students in North Carolina did something brave. They sat down at a lunch counter where black people weren't allowed to sit. They were told to leave. They stayed anyways. This inspires students all across the South to do the same thing. Suddenly, there were sit-ins everywhere, young people risking their safety to demand justice. Now, many older civil rights leaders wanted to tell these students what to do, how to organize, what tactics to use, but not Ella Baker. Even though she was 57 years old and had been organizing for decades, Ella Baker listened to the students. She helped them start their own organization. How do you say that? SNCC. Thank you. The Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee. And then she let them lead it. She would sit in the back of meetings. She'd ask questions to help people think rather than giving them all the answers. She believed young people had wisdom inside them already.
Thank you so much, y'all. So here's Ella Baker's big question, and it's a question for all of us, something that myself and these folks have been discussing this morning, which is how can we help each other become the leaders that we already are inside? And Seth shared some ideas with me that he wanted me to share out today about how adults can show some more respect to young leaders in our community. We were talking about how adults often don't, or older people often don't extend trust to the younger generation that they are able to carry on, but at the same time will put a responsibility on their shoulders, that it's your job as teenagers, you're the ones who are going to have to save the world, is a thing that our young people have heard. And so they feel that they're being entrusted with this responsibility to save the world, but at the same time are lacking the trust to manage their own time, to manage their own bodies or their own identity. And so the message that Seth really wants to convey is that the way Ella Baker did things, of empowering young people to lead and then trusting them to carry that on, that is the message that we should be passing on to our young people here as well. Does anybody else want to share something that you wish grown-ups or older people would do to help young folks feel more respected?
I feel like when adults like help, when I'm like trying to think of something and they kind of like help but don't like overdo it, like helping me so much with something, but then most adults do that, but some don't.
Awesome, thank you. Is there anybody else who has anything they want to come up and share? I just want to give an opportunity. Cool. Ella Baker spent her whole life training the next generation. I didn't know her name. A lot of us don't know her name, and that was on purpose. She wanted to be known for her works, the projects that she helped build. And she trained this generation not by commanding them, but by trusting them. So I want everyone in this congregation, especially our young people, to know that you are strong, that your ideas and your leadership are strong, and thank you for teaching us. Let's say her words one more time all together. I say strong people, you say don't need strong leaders. Strong people? Don't need strong leaders. Thank you. And we're going to sing our kids out to their religious exploration classes.
Okay, this might sound like a funny question, but it's real. Can you all see me okay from this? All right. So, normally for a centering moment, I say, let's all settle in and take a deep breath, right, and enjoy kind of the stillness. I don't really feel like that today. I feel like there's a lot of things going on that I'm not happy about, that I don't have any control over. We've all seen the news. I've been really intentional about not treating this like the weekend NPR ancillary update, because we're all aware of that. So this morning, I often post on my own Facebook page what I'm wearing on Sundays, because most of you already know, everything I'm wearing now, except my shoes and the stole I made, is thrift store acquired. It's an important part of my sort of way of walking in the world. So I had this hashtag called Thrift Store Preacher, and it's silly and ridiculous. But today I posted about it, and I said, the world is a mess, but today I chose Argyle, right? I chose Argyle because it was something I could affect. It was a choice that I could make. And so for the centering moment, I just want to remind us that sometimes we can choose Argyle and not be responsible for fixing everything. So for a few moments, think about the ways in which you can remind yourself in all the chaos that you still have agency, even if your agency isn't big enough to solve all the problems.
Thank you, Chamber Choir. Our reading this morning are words and thoughts woven together by our minister, Reverend Joe, titled The Chain of Learning. In many communities, leadership can start to sound like a lonely thing, like you're supposed to have it figured out, be certain, be strong, be the one with answers. But there's another way to tell the truth about how we actually grow. Eric Oberholzer, an entrepreneur and culture builder, used to describe learning like this, quote, "Everybody's got one hand in front of them and one hand behind them, so that we're a chain of people learning and growing." I love that image because it's so human. It reminds us that leadership is not a pedestal, it's a relationship. It says, you don't wake up one morning and become the leader. You become a person who is willing to be taught and willing to teach. With one hand forward, you admit, I'm still learning. I need mentors. I need friends who tell me the truth kindly. I still need people whose wisdom steadies me when I wobble. And with one hand behind, you remember, someone is watching how I handle disappointment. Someone is learning courage by watching me try again. Someone needs me to offer a steady presence, a clear invitation, a small kindness that says, you belong here and you can do this. This way of leading doesn't require that we be perfect. It requires that we stay connected. Because the chain only breaks when we pretend we're not linked, when we stop asking for help or stop offering it. So today, maybe our spiritual practice is simple: to name, quietly, honestly, who has a hand on us, guiding us forward, and to notice, gently, faithfully, whose hand we might take so they don't have to walk alone. Not as saviors, not as bosses, but as companions in a long human chain of learning and growing. This is the time in our service when we invite your generosity to help pay for the good work of this community of faith and hope. What a concrete way to reach our hands forward and back, to honor the work of those who have come before us to build this community and this space, literally, and to do what we can to ensure the stability and health of this community for those who will come after. I invite you to give as generously as you are able, and our offering will now be gratefully received.
I'm Ralph Child, and as you know, I'm a member of the board. And on behalf of the board and Reverend Joe, I want to say that we see these contributions as an act of trust from the congregation. And I want to add to that our thanks for that and for the fact that we did, in fact, make the holiday campaign set of contributions, more than $20,000. Thank you so much. We promise and pledge to use these funds in support of our common values. Thank you.
There are words that we use in religious life that sound practical, even bureaucratic, again, but are in fact actually deeply theological. Stewardship is one of those words. Formation is another. And today I want to claim leadership development as one also, because leadership development is not simply about filling committees with warm bodies. We've all done that. Or training officers or making sure the right people know Robert's Rules of Order. I will tell you, the first time I went to New Bedford, because I'm a sign reader, I read all the historical signs. I bet none of you are shocked by that. The First Baptist Church in New Bedford is where Robert was, where those rules were created. I did not think kindly of them at that moment, just saying. I mean, I realize they're important, but sometimes they can be, Anyway, so that's enough of a sidestep for that. Leadership development is about how a faith community understands continuity, trust, and hope. It is about whether we believe this community will outlast us, and whether we are willing to act as if that is true. In Unitarian Universalism, we sometimes talk about institutions as if they were our awkward necessities, structures we tolerate, so we can do the real work. The spiritual work can happen there. But institutions are not obstacles to our faith. They are containers for it. They hold memory. They carry value across time. They are how one generation says to the next, this mattered enough for us to tend and pass forward. And leadership development is how that tending happens. Not all at once, not heroically, but faithfully. We've already heard the story of Ella Baker this morning, told beautifully by a small group of people, but it is a story that speaks just as clearly to adults who have lived long enough to know how power really works. So when I got to sit in the conversation briefly, I horned my way in, I was talking to the group, and I said, so here's something I want you to know from my perspective, since I am actually the same age Ella Baker was during this story. I am roughly 30 years older than Kay, and certainly 40 years older than everyone else in the room. I still experience not being the adultest in the room. There are folks older than me who treat me the way that you feel treated. And it's not a poor me moment, it's a reminder. It's a lesson for me to not be the person who does that. And then I ask them, in your life, how do you treat the folks younger than you? Ella Baker understood something radical and enduring. Movements fail when leadership becomes scarce. Justice falters when wisdom bottlenecks. Communities weaken when only a few are trusted to carry the work. She did not believe in saviors. She believed in capacity. Again and again, she chose the slower work of helping people recognize their own agency. She asked questions instead of issuing instructions. She listened more than she spoke. She trusted that leadership grows best when it is shared, multiplied, and renewed. This was not an accident of personality. This is a theology. Ella Baker believed that human dignity is not proven by charisma, but by participation. That truth does not descend from on high, but emerges from relationship. That the role of a leader is not to stand above, but to make room. Her life stands as a corrective to every religious instinct that says, find the strongest person and put them in charge. She invites us to ask a different question. Who else could do this if someone helped them believe they could? This is where leadership development becomes an act of stewardship. Not stewardship of money, though that matters, of course. Not stewardship of buildings, although those matter also. But stewardship of people, process, and possibility. When we identify leaders early, gently, patiently, when we walk alongside them rather than throwing them into the deep end of the pool, everybody, do not invite the new person to be on the board next year. That is the deep end of the pool, just so I'm clear. When we tell them the truth about what leadership costs and what it gives, we are practicing a theology of abundance rather than scarcity. We are saying there will be enough wisdom. There will be enough courage. There will be enough people willing to try, but only if we help one another grow into those people. Leadership development at its best is not about urgency. It is about inheritance. It asks, what skills must be passed on, not assumed? What stories must be told and not forgotten? What mistakes must be named so they are not repeated? And who is watching us right now, deciding quietly whether this is a place they might belong? There is something else that we need to say aloud, carefully, kindly, about leadership in communities like ours. Many of us learned to lead alone. We learned to be reliable, competent, self-sufficient. We learned to step in quietly to do what needed to be done and not make trouble. And for a long time, that may have worked. It kept the lights on. It preserved an institution. It carried us through the seasons when there were fewer people willing or able to help. But what helps a community survive one chapter can quietly weaken it in the next. When leadership becomes solitary, when knowledge is hoarded rather than shared, when decisions are made by the few for the many, when systems depend on particular people rather than the shared practice, the community begins to constrict. Not because anyone has failed, but because the world has changed and the system is not yet caught up. Many congregations reach a point, often later than we expect when we're not looking. It happens when the skills that once sustained them are no longer sufficient for what comes next. At this stage in the church's life, the most faithful work is not doing more, but making room. That work falls especially to elders, not only with titles, those who have titles, but those with memory, experience, and informal authority. And that work is hard because it goes against what we learned when we were younger. Because when resources feel tighter, when the future feels uncertain, the instinct is to hold on more tightly, to do things the way we know how, to protect what has worked before. But the paradox is this: what feels like safety can become the very thing that causes constriction. Faithfulness in this season of a church asks for something different. It asks elders not to disappear, but to shift roles. from primary decision makers to mentors, from guardians of how it's done to stewards of who comes next. Here is one of the quiet theological claims at the heart of leadership development. Faith in the system means allowing the system to lead you, not insisting that you must always lead the system. Healthy systems carry wisdom beyond any one person. They adapt, they learn. They make room for voices that sound different, move differently, imagine differently, but only if we can trust them enough to let go a little. This is where newer leaders and sometimes newer members come in. Leadership development does not mean inviting people in after the decision's made. It means including them in the discernment itself, not as apprentices who must first learn how to do it right, meaning how I would do it, but as full participants whose questions and instincts may reveal possibilities we can no longer see from where we stand. In Buddhism, we call this beginner's mind. When I first came here, I noticed all kinds of things around the building that I've stopped noticing because I've become used to them. It happens to all of us. It's not a failure, it's humanity. This does not mean abandoning wisdom, it means passing it on without control. Mentorship is not replication, it is accompaniment. This, too, is why Ella Baker matters here. She understood that movements do not survive when elders cling to the center. They survive when elders widen the circle. When I was a fairly new minister, maybe my second or third year, I was recruited to serve on a denominational committee, the UUA nominating committee. At the time, I wasn't entirely sure why I had been asked, but I have generally tried to say yes more often than no when Unitarian Universalism asks me for some help. It turned out that a strong voice on the committee, a minister of color, a man of color, was stepping down for medical reasons, and the denomination wanted to maintain the balance by inviting another strong-voiced man of color into the committee. I was asked to commit to complete this colleague's term, and then I ran for and was elected to 2 additional terms, which means I was on the committee for 8 years. What began filling a gap became, over time, a deep responsibility. Eventually, the committee asked if I would consider becoming the vice chair and then the chair, and I served as the chair for 4 years. Before I agreed, though, I asked for some time. Because nominating committee does not do small work. It recruits for nearly every major denominational role. It is a position of influence. I wanted to do that work well. So I interviewed about 20 people, experienced UU leaders, and people completely outside of our faith. Because sometimes you get caught in insider baseball. So I wanted people from the outside. What are your opinions? What do you think? I asked questions like, what makes a good committee member? And what are the red flags I should look out for when recruiting leaders? The wisdom I was given has stayed with me. Choose people who don't have an axe to grind, they said. Don't put one-issue people on boards that require broad vision. Look for people who understand the gravity of the work and can still approach it with humility. Above all, always be training your replacement. Not because you're eager to leave, but because leadership that clings to leadership is leadership that fails. This, I came to understand, is not a strategy. It's a theology. I'm a minister today because my own home congregation practiced this kind of leadership development. They took in a somewhat lost 27-year-old and helped me see my gifts within myself that I had not been ready yet to name. I have seen this model work again and again. So when I went to the First Unitarian in Chicago, about 3 years into my time there, my mom came to visit me and I brought her to church with me because, I wanted to show up church. It was very exciting. My mother met a woman named Betty Holcomb at coffee hour. Betty was about my mom's age, black woman, very clever, very nicely dressed, very sharp. And without knowing it, my mother pulled Betty aside and said, "My son is here by himself. I need someone to look out for him, and you look like the kind of person I can depend on." And Betty took that pretty seriously. When I was serving in a congregation in Modesto, California, a young gay man about 20 years old showed up at church one Sunday. He was bruised by a conservative religious upbringing, estranged from his parents, and desperately looking for somewhere to belong. After a few weeks, he asked to meet with me. Church, he told me, had not been kind to him in the past. I said to him with a heart full of pastoral care, "There are people in this congregation who, if you let them, will love you the way a family is supposed to. And when you're ready to trust them, they are ready to catch you." He did not become a minister, which is great, but he became a leader in the congregation, which is actually more important. Eventually, he joined the board. He stayed involved, and before he turned 40, he was president of that congregation. A few years later, I saw him at General Assembly, and I was speaking with Betty. He came over, and I introduced them, and he hugged her very tightly and began to cry. He said, "Your love for my minister allowed me to find love in my church. You're like my fairy godmother." This is what leadership development looks like when it's done faithfully. The reading that Lisa shared earlier gave us a powerful chain, an image, a chain of learning, one hand forward, one hand back. We are never self-made. We are never finished. We are never alone unless we choose to be. Leadership development is the practice of keeping the chain unbroken. It is staying connected, teaching what we know, admitting what we don't, and being ready to learn. Inviting others into responsibility before we are desperate for help. Ella Baker rejected the lie that leadership belongs only to a few. Our faith rejects that also. So, if leadership development is a theology, then its central claim is this: the sacred does not reside in a single voice, but in the space we make for many. The future is not secured by perfection, but by preparation. Faithfulness is not measured by how indispensable we become, but by how well we ensure that others can carry the work forward when we are done. May we be leaders who listen. May we be elders who invite. May we be companions in the long work of learning and handing on, not as saviors, not as bosses, but as faithful stewards of a living tradition, trusting that what we tend together will outlast us. And this is holy work. So here is the invitation I want to offer you this morning, not as a program, not as a plan, but as a spiritual practice. In the weeks and months ahead, notice where you are holding something alone that no longer needs to be carried by just you. Notice where your experience could become, where it could become mentorship, where your memory could become a gift, where your steadiness could make room for someone else to step forward. And if you're newer here, newer in membership, newer in leadership, newer in confidence, may you trust that your questions matter. Your instincts are welcome, and your voice belongs in the shaping of what comes next. This is not about doing it right. It is about doing it together, faithfully, with room enough for all of us to grow. Not just the people without gray hair, but all of us. Please join together in singing our closing hymn.
for our closing hymn. This is a song that many of you are going to recognize. We sing it now and then here. It's not one that's in our hymnal, but as a reminder for how the hymn goes, the four of us are going to sing through the melody once through, then I'm going to invite all of you to join us, and we're going to sing the whole thing twice. So here we go. This is We Shall Not Give Up the Fight. We shall not give up the fight, we have only started. We have only started. We have only started. We shall not give up the fight, we have only started. We have only started. We have only started. We shall not give up the fight, we have only started. We have only started. We have only started. We shall not give up the fight, we have only started. We have only started. We have only started. Together we'll have victory, hand holding hand, hand holding hand, hand holding hand. Together we'll have victory, hand holding hand, hand holding hand, hand holding hand. We shall not give up the fight. We have only started. We have only started. We have only started. We shall not give up the fight. We have only started. We have only started. We have only started. Together we'll have victory. Hand holding hand. Hand holding hand. Hand holding hand. Together we'll have victory. Hand holding hand. Hand holding hand. Hand holding hand. We shall not give up the fight. We have only started. We have only started. We have only started. We shall not give up the fight. We have only started. We have only started. We have only started.
Please join in our unison affirmation as Landon, will you come forward and extinguish our chalice? Apagamos esta llama, pero no la luz de la verdad, ni el calor de la comunidad, ni el fuego del compromiso. Estos los llevamos con nosotros y los ofrecemos para bendecir al mundo. We extinguish this flame and not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry with us and offer as gifts unto the world.
May we leave this place remembering that leadership is not a possession, but a relationship. May we loosen our grip where holding on too tightly has made us small. May we widen the circle so that new wisdom can enter and old wisdom can rest. And may we trust deeply, patiently, that when we tend to one another with care, the work we love will continue. The faith we share will endure, and the future we are shaping together will be large enough for us all. Go in peace, go in courage, go in bravery. Amen.